Do you know what I mean? Before we get into this VAR rubbish, I'd like to see the Arsenal wingers, mix it up a little bit.
I agree with you, Alan, but I understand what Ray's saying because they haven't got anybody in the box to head it.
Yeah.
So they're not going to cross it. They have to go to passing through, intricate passing and that. I understand that, but the fullback knows where they're going, doesn't he?
Correct.
Really, Alan.
Correct. Last night, Neil, what do you make of this?
I was stunned. I'm just sat watching it, but I'm just absolute. Do you know something though? I thought Chris Cavan had a really good game, and then when they asked him to go across, I thought, go on, son, show some guts here, please.
Yeah.
Just say you're happy with what you've got given. And I thought he was for a minute, and because I think Michael Oliver did that once early on, he went against it, and I think. When he went across, and I've just found out this morning, it was Craig Pawson apparently in the room. Well, Craig Pawson, he's got something with Everton anyhow. I think it was October, the Liverpool derby. He should have given a second yellow, and he never did. And Everton were, up furious. And now he's in the VAR, and it goes back to what Bill Shankly. I know Bill. That's when I was a kid. Bill Shankly said they know the laws but not the game, and that's Craig Pawson to it. He did me twice against Chelsea. And both things were, that Chelsea should have been penalised, but they get away with murder.
Yeah.
And I think that just summed it up last night. It was an absolute disgrace of I think Joby, I listened to him on the telly, and he said, if you got 50 people who'd played the game watching that incident, not one would have issued a red card.
Well, that's where it's all gone wrong, Neil, isn't it? Why don't you get players or ex-managers or someone who's been involved in the game, involved in and looking and saying, look, Craig Pawson, like yesterday, Craig, in a real football match, that would happen, that sort of tackle.
Yeah.
And that's not a red card. And he might say, OK, that's fair enough. And then I think
it'll have to come, Ray, because they're not going to change. Because, you've got referees doing the VAR, and so they've got the same mistakes in them. None of them's hardly ever played the game. So they don't understand what is... some of the tackles we've seen this year, the red cards, have been horrendous.
Yeah.
Now, this was a typical forward challenge for me. Yes, caught him slightly, but ever so slightly. Not intentional, not intent on whatever the laws of the game says about damaging him, It wasn't like that. Yeah. And everybody could see it. And so I don't... Poor old Howard Webb. If he'd got any hair, he'd be pulling it out. Howard. It's killing him really. And I'm so glad now. I'm glad it's not at the start of my career, because VAR. I love to have VAR. I got it with Craig Pawson when we got the offside goal at Cardiff with Chelsea. A few minutes to go, about 5 yards offside. But I wanted it coming in, but I agree. I think you mentioned it earlier. I think the only thing to do it now is the goal line technology. You can't tell me you can't celebrate a goal, Ray. You can't run across the field and do all the celebrations, and the managers can't relax. You have to look round at the screen. Are we going to look at this? Are we going to look at it? And it's almost like they're looking for a fault, and sometimes they're not there.
Yeah. Look, we wouldn't be talking about all these mistakes if we had no VAR, would we?
No.
There'd be an odd one here and there, but a lot of it, just get on with it. So that's where it's all gone wrong. But Neil, just changing the subject on that, big weekend FA Cup. Can't wait for, we're previewing Sunderland Newcastle game. It's going to be a massive game, North East, and it's going to be an interesting weekend for a lot of clubs. And, you've played in so many games, FA Cup. You've managed so many teams in the FA Cup.
Semi-final.
It's a very, very important trophy.
Against him and all.
Yeah,
Alan.
I know you did. Yeah.
Against him and all. How did you fiddle with that bloody referee, Graeme?
Them bloody referees again, Neil. But it's a situation. This weekend's going to be very exciting for a lot of clubs. Now, Thomas Frank said, look, no replays. Then Jeff Stelling said it should be seeded. Would you just leave it alone?
Well, I think so. It's not done bad over the years. I think you've mentioned it all, really. Money talks now, and the Premier League, the Champions League, everything's geared to money. But, I look at Shrewsbury versus Wrexham tomorrow. What an atmosphere that's going to be down in Wales there, that area.
I didn't realise that was a derby, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know you wouldn't get Maidstone, Stevenage, Newport, Eastleigh and all them, but it is what it is. And I think the FA Cup, Ray, when I was a kid, my family, my mum and dad, we used to make a day of it, We used to get up 6:30. I used to, mum had all the cups and saucers out and everything. We had breakfast together. Yeah. We watched them come out down and onto the bus and then travel, and they were talking to them, and it was like a full day. The kids used to look forward to the FA Cup final, and I agree with what you said. I don't see what Thomas Frank is a good manager, and I understand what he's saying, and from abroad it is a good competition. But he hasn't tasted that non-league effort and what it means to a non-league to get a replay.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember talking to Ben Robinson at Burton. They got a replay against, was it Man United or somebody? And it saved the club.
Yeah, absolutely.
It saved the club financially.
Yeah. Neil, just a quick before you go, how's the weather down the West Country? I've just seen Tewkesbury on the telly. Oh my God, it's just underwater. Have you got it bad down there? Are you okay?
We have had it bad. I think Somerset's had it worse, haven't they? Coming on the train coming across there, but it's one of them things, isn't it? We're going to have to get used to it. We're going to have to do something regarding helping these. I was down at Lou, and that was flooded a couple of times. Down in Cornwall, that was a few weeks ago as well. So it's happening all over the show, isn't it? We just got to. Hey, I must tell you, by the way, quickly, Alan, that Luke Littler.
Yes.
I was watching Brighton West Ham. I was so glad when somebody told me that Luke Littler were on the other channel, because I was going to sleep watching Brighton West Ham.
Yeah.
And Luke Littler,
Brighton should have won it, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should. I mean, 2-2. One shot at 2-2 for 5-2.
I know.
And he'll remember that. But a great evening. I thought Luke Humphries, I was pleased for him as well. And so
big Leeds fan, Luke Humphries.
Yeah, well,
Neil, I've got to ask you though. It's a bit early yet for you, but
it is.
You ain't had. No, I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about the phone call. You ain't had a phone call from Birmingham yet, or is it a little bit early and you're waiting for March?
No, it's all right now. After Christmas, you have to listen to them all then, don't you? But I had a few offers before Christmas, October, November, but I've really enjoyed Christmas, and
but you're ready to go back.
Hey, the wife's asked me to go. I said the wife should player, let me know. Sharon's asked me to go ballroom dancing tonight. What about that?
Really?
How you ever been asked by Jill?
Strictly, eh?
I said I'll come once and have a look, but that's how it's get. Looking forward to it.
Tell her to put her shin pads on. Neil, always great.
Cheers,
Take care.
Cheers,
Have
Neil.
a great weekend.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.